fixation on a concept until it becomes you. And that's in essence what's happened here. The love we all have. So what's the difference between me and this person whose love is soaring to the world of Bria? He fixated on it. He focused on it. He didn't give it up. He thought about it and thought about it and thought about it and thought about it to really make it him. So we are actually toward the end, we'll see what that means for us, of chapter 44. And what we've discussed so far extensively in this chapter are the two levels of love of God that we have naturally. Meaning, we learned in chapter 18, by virtue of our soul, embedded in our soul, is a natural love for God. And we discussed the natural love, chapters 18 through 25. And in chapter 44, we said, by the way, God gave us more than one level of natural love. God gave us more gifts than what we even realized. There's the natural love of loving God because he's my life. And there's an even deeper natural love, because this supersedes all limits. This is completely beyond any concern for self, the natural love of God, because he's my Father. And we discussed these two levels of loves, of natural loves, that we're going to use our mind to access, and we're going to use our mind until we feel them in our heart for the bulk of this chapter. Continuing, the Rebbe is going to discuss, where does the service done with this love ascend to? On page 126, 5 lines plus a word from the bottom. What I was going to say is this love goes far higher than you would think. When I say this love, what I mean is service done through this love. Meaning, every time we serve God, and we've discussed this idea extensively in Tanya, it comes up many, many times. Every time we serve God, that service has to have wings. Wings mean we have to love God, and we have to fear God. And with love and fear of God, our service can soar. And if you are doing it without love or fear, the service is stuck. It's earthbound. It's not going anywhere. Now, obviously, we'd rather you do it without love and fear than not do it at all. And obviously, there are advantages to doing it. But this very, very significant concept that we want our what we're doing to soar to God, and so many things in Tanya is explained happens when the service soars, and then it fuses with the godliness of that world, and a new godliness comes down, and levels and levels and levels of enormous revelations of God happen every time what we're doing ascends to him. And the question is, well, how does it ascend? It ascends through our love and our fear. Those are the wings. And if you don't have the love and fear, we got a problem. Though the Alter Rebbe assumes that all of us have some love and fear of God. Because otherwise, he says, why would you be doing anything for him? So if we're doing it, there must be some love and fear. But we want a stronger love and fear, a stronger love of fear, stronger love and fear. And the stronger it is, the higher this service ascends. So in very broad strokes, again, this really subdivides in myriads of ways. But speaking simply, we view ourselves as the physical dimension of a chain of 4 spiritual realities. Again, each reality subdivides into myriads of sub-realities, but again, speaking basically, we have 4 spiritual realities called Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya, and then our physical reality. The world of Bria, the second to highest world, is a world of intellect. The third world, Yetzira, is the world of emotion. Generally, a service done with basic acceptance of God's authority, nothing more, goes to the lowest world, the fourth world, the world of Asiya. A service done with pure emotion goes to the third world, the world of Yetzirah. And only a service done with a real intellectually created love and fear goes to the second world, the world of Bria, the world of intellect. And the highest world, Atzilus, we don't assume our service will ascend, though it's possible. Like of the greatest, the holiest, the most spiritual and sublime. But for us, if we got to Bria, it would be pretty amazing. So normally we would think, since this service that I'm doing, motivated by the love and fear of this chapter, is coming from natural love, a love I was gifted with, an emotion that's embedded in my soul. So as such, it should go to the third world, Yetzirah, the world of emotion. The Rebbe says, no, it goes far higher. It goes to the second world. It goes to the world of intellect. Again, we have Atzilus, and then Bria, the world of intellect, then Yetzirah, the world of emotion, and then Asiya, the world of action. And most service either is in the world of Asiya, just sort of a basic acceptance of God, which is compelling your service, or much, much higher, the world of Yetzirah, a world of emotion, when you really feel an emotion for God and therefore are serving. And if it's really high, it's going to go to the world of Bria, because the world of the Bria is the world of intellect, when you have an intellectually created relationship with. So, as we normally think of it in Tanya, there are loves we create with our mind, as we actually discussed last chapter, chapter 43, such a love called Ahavas Olam, which was an intellectually created love. Using my mind, I thought concepts until all of my thoughts created a love. That's what we call in the lingo of Tanya, Ahavas Sichlis, an intellectual love, which might sound like a strange term, but it means a love created through intellect, as this was really like the ideal of Tanya, a love created through intellect. And such a love propels service coming from that love all the way to the world of Bria, because that's the world of intellect, and this is a love created by your intellect. So this is amazing, and it's going so high. And most other loves are emotional loves. I mean, love is an emotion, and therefore it goes to a lower world, the world of Yetzirah, the world of emotion. So the assumption would be that that's where my service is going if I love God because he's my life, if I love God because he's my father, because we said those are loves we inherited. We didn't create those loves. Those are not using my mind to create a love. So therefore, it will go to the world of emotion, and that's great too, and we're very happy. The Alter Rebbe says, no, not here. Unlike what you learned in chapter 18 through 25, because that natural love does reach the world of emotion, the world of Yetzirah, the third world, and any service done through that love reaches the third world, the world of Yetzirah. But these two loves are different. Even though they're gifts, they're natural, they're part of that term we call Ahava Misuteres, natural loves, emotional loves, not created by your intellect. You were born with them. But the Rebbe says, you need to use your mind to feel that love. Meaning, we could talk about it. And from talking about it, we can get it enough that I sort of feel it in my mind. It's in the recesses of my heart, and I feel it in my mind. That's like sort of the lowest pass in terms of the planes of love. The lowest pass the Alter Rebbe gives us is when you feel a love in your mind, like an emotional, intellectual compulsion, so to speak. And if that's what happened with either of these two gifts from God, loving God because he's your life, loving God because he's your father, and you feel it in your mind, and therefore you prayed, studied, gave charity, were modest, whatever, that service will go to the world of emotion, the world of Yetzirah. This is not something you created with your mind. This is from your emotions, from the nature of your soul. But the Rebbe says, if you use your mind to take these natural loves, but you're going to feel them, they're going to be flaming fires in your heart. There's a lot of intellectual investment in these emotional loves. And there's so much intellectual investment that even though your mind didn't create the love, but your mind is so involved in you feeling the love that the service of this love will soar all the way to the second world, all the way to the world of Bria, the world of intellect. Because these loves are so aided, so much developed through the intellect of your mind. So let's read that piece inside. Even though these are natural loves, meaning they were part of what we call the package gift of Ahava Misuteres, our innate, hidden, covert love of God, but that's not how we're going to refer to them. We're not going to view them as natural love and fear of God, even though they are natural love and fear of God. The only time, the Rebbe says, we're going to refer to them as natural, innate, hidden love and fear is when they're still hidden, when they're in the recesses of your heart and revealed in your mind. Because then your mind hasn't done enough work to pull them into your heart. It's still more them in their natural state. Yeah, a little bit coming out because I'm aware of it in my mind. I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to motivate myself to do things because of it. Okay, that's your natural love and fear that you're trying to get inspired by. In that case, Oh, sorry, I skipped the word. V'az bekom be'eser spheres yitzira, u'mishlam hey malus uman ha'char v'amitzvos habos mechamasam b'zibasam. So if you took this enormous gift from God that every one of us has, you have a soul, you have natural love. It's embedded in the psyche of your soul. Because of your natural love, you can in no way, shape, or form be separated from God. That was the natural love discussed in chapters 18 through 25. Because of the natural love, you love God like you love life itself. Because of the natural love, you love God as your parent and would do anything for him as a child, would do anything and sacrifice anything for their parent and give up their physical reality and give up their spiritual reality for their parent. That's your love for God. So all three of these loves are part of the natural gifts God gave us. There are natural loves. But the Rebbe is saying uniquely about these two, not about the first one, chapters 18 through 25, but uniquely about these two, if you just bring them out a little, enough that you're aware of it in your mind and it's resonating somewhere in the recesses of your heart. And because of that awareness in your mind of God as your life and God as your parent, you go and serve him. That love will reach the emotional world of Yetzirah, and the service will reach the emotional world of Yetzirah. But if you do the whole job that the Rebbe is asking of you in this chapter, and you use your mind until you bring that love to be flaming in your heart, that love goes to the world of intellect, the world of Bria, and the service goes to the world of intellect, the world of Bria. Because they're so saturated with your intellect, that was necessary to get them from this latent, covert state to be this flaming passion in your heart. But when they are revealed in your heart, nikraos reusa de liba, they're called the strivings, the will of the heart, bizoyhar. When in the Zohar it speaks of these loves, it calls them ru'usa, the will, the striving of the heart. It's the passion, it's the beat of the heart. God as my life, God as my parent. Umakaimam be'eser spheres debria. And therefore the love and the product of the love, however you served God with this love, ascends much, much, much higher. It's not like, okay, this is world 3, oh, this is world 2. Every world has myriads and myriads and myriads of sub-levels of sub-worlds. So there's a vast difference to say it's in world number 3, it's zero emotion. Oh, well, it elevated itself to world number 2, Bria, intellect. No, this is a huge, huge ascension. And if you really used your mind, which is what's needed, the Rebbe is saying, to make this love really felt in your heart, these loves and the products are going all the way to the second world, the world of intellect, the world of Bria. And it's not only that the love goes there, but they also elevate with them the Torah and the service of God, the commandments that ascend because they were created by their energy. Because you love God this way, therefore you're serving him. And therefore the service is flavored, has wings, is saturated with this love. So if the love has reached the world of intellect, the world of Bria, the service propelled by this love obviously also is in this very, very lofty realm of Bria, of the world of intellect. Mipnei, because the only way, the Rebbe is saying, you can take this love. Yes, it's a gift. Yes, God gave it to you. Yes, every single one of us have it. Yes, it's wired in our psyche of our soul. But still, to really feel it, to extract it from the concealed state of the heart to being revealed in your heart, to be in a state of passion for God, it's by a lot of intense internalization. Da'as. Da'as is the third of our intellectual faculties, faculties of our soul, faculties of our mind. We have chachma, the creative flash, the spark, first moment, the intuition. We have bina, when that creative idea becomes developed on all of its levels of intellect and analysis and synthesis. And then when we completely understand it, we have das. Das is integration, internalization, fixation on a concept until it becomes you. And that's in essence what's happened here. The love we all have. So what's the difference between me and this person whose love is soaring to the world of Bria? He fixated on it. He focused on it. He didn't give it up. He thought about it and thought about it and thought about it and thought about it to really make it him. If you remember, as we discussed this concept about a page ago in Tanya, when we said, well, how can we have this high love? This is like Moses's love. Me and Moses, like really. And we said, well, Moses is inside of you, so yeah, Moses had this love, you could have it too. We're like, well, I don't feel it. And what did the Rebbe tell us then? Think about it, talk about it, act about it. Think as if, talk as if, do as if. And the more you keep doing this, it's going to come out because you have it. It's yours. It's your legacy. It's your gift. It's your inheritance. And if you keep thinking about it, it pulls it out. You keep talking as if you have it, it's going to come out. You keep acting as if you have it, it's going to be brought to the surface. So that was actually the technique the Alter Rebbe suggested how we're even going to feel this love in the first place. And in essence, that's what the Rebbe is saying here. Das, fixation, again and again and again, focusing and focusing and focusing. I'm thinking like you think of how, like the themes of the Rebbe, the obvious one, of course, is Mashiach. And the Rebbe will come back to it again and again and again and again, like sort of, he's going to get it into us, He's going to keep talking about it and keep talking about it and keep talking about it and keep talking about it. You say, I think we've heard this already. I think we know this already. You might have knowledge, but you don't have das. That it's integrated, that's internalized, that it's you. There says, that's what it took for you to feel this love. Das. So therefore, it's a love of intellect, even though it's a natural love. Wow, that's weird. That's cool. That's amazing. It has both advantages. It's a natural love made by God, so to speak, and it's a love of intellect because you needed your das, you needed your obsession, fixation, integration to make that love yours, to really feel it. V'tekiyas hamachshava. The Rebbe is explaining, what do I mean by das? Like fixating your thought, b'chayzek, strongly, not like peripherally, sort of, no. With a lot of focus. V'hispoinenus atzuma, intense. Look at the words the Rebbe is using. He wants you to understand what he's talking about. He wants you to understand the degree of what's being demanded here. So there's intense contemplation. Me'umka de liba, from the depth of the heart. Yasir v'tadir bein sof baruch hu, more and consistently on God's infinity. Eichu chayenu mamish. I keep thinking of God as my life, as my life, as my... You understood the concept. You got it. It's half a page of Tanya. We all understood it. So what's the difference between us and him? Because he didn't give it up. He stayed obsessed, fixated, focused, will not leave this concept, and therefore it's his. And therefore he feels it. V'avinu hamiti baruch hu. He's fixated on both of these thoughts. There's two loves here. God is my life, God is my life, and God is my father. God is my parent. And he just keeps thinking the thoughts again. He keeps playing with his mind with these thoughts, absorbing these thoughts in his mind, talking about them, thinking about them, talking more, thinking more, thinking more, talking. And then it's his. He feels it. So the Rebbe says, this love, it's a natural love, and there's a lot of intellectual investment so you can feel it. And that's why it's going to go all the way to the world of intellect. So it's interesting because the love of chapter 18 through 25, the first of the natural loves we discussed, and of course we discussed that the longest. We had like around 7 chapters on that one. These two loves, each one gets less than half a chapter. That about 7. I'm saying 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 8. 8 chapters. That first natural love got 8 chapters. These two natural loves that are more powerful, they each get less than half a chapter. But that love, the love of chapters 18 through 25, the Rebbe is assuming you can reveal in your heart without this intensity of focus, this fixation on the concepts, because the Rebbe is saying it seems like it's more natural. More natural, the thoughts of, I just want to be part of God's reality. And I'm terrified of losing that relationship. I so much want to be one with him, and I'm so scared of being separated. That's so much the nature of your soul, in essence, that is the nature of your soul. So therefore, the assumption is, if the Rebbe just teaches you the concepts, as he did for 8 chapters, and you understand them, it's very natural for your heart to feel them. It shouldn't be this big effort of mind and fixation of thought to feel very strongly in your heart that I want God and I don't want to be separated from God. This is the nature of the soul. So that's why it's a natural love, which means it ascends to the emotional world, the world of Yitzhira. It's pure, basically, our emotions. We needed some intellectual guidance, but we didn't need the strength of intellect to feel it. It was very natural to feel. But these two loves were saying it's harder for us. The Rebbe is assuming it's not as natural for us to feel these things, even though, in a sense, the Rebbe is proposing them that they are natural. Because, first of all, it's the wiring of our soul. And second of all, the Rebbe says, you love life, God is your life. You would do anything for your parent, God is your parent. So it's not like he's trying to bring me ideas I've never connected to on any level. But still, even so, the Rebbe is saying, you need a lot of intellectual strength to keep reminding yourself, like the leap of faith or the jump is, of course I love life. Of course I know, ultimately I understand God is my life. Yeah, that makes sense. But to make that understanding my feeling, I love life. That's instinctive. God is my life. I get that completely. To traverse that gap, that the awareness of God is my life becomes the instinct for life. That's where your mind needs a lot of work. I naturally love my parent, and hopefully all of us have had wonderful relationships with our parents, so it's a very easy concept to relate to. It's a natural feeling for our parents. Of course, we have deep, deep love and deep willingness to sacrifice anything, and many of us probably have sacrificed much for our parents. And then, yeah, I understand that God is my ultimate parent. That makes perfect sense. But to take that understanding that God's my parent and shift it to feeling for him like I feel for my parents, that's that huge intellect of again and again and again, focusing, fixating, integrating, God is my parent. And therefore that natural love and self-sacrifice for the parent is my relationship with God. So the Rebbe is saying it takes a lot of intense intellect to move this natural love to be revealed in the heart, much, much more than we're saying the love of chapters 18 through 25 of all I want is God and I don't want to be separated from him and I'm terrified of being separated from him and what I desire is to be one with him. From the two loves discussed here, loving my God as my life, loving God as my parent, do either seem more accessible to you, or do you feel, yeah, it would take a enormous mental work to integrate either one of them?
I think I'm having a hard time understanding the difference because it seems like the natural, love is coming just by learning Chassidus. You're going to get a natural love of God. That's what you're saying. By what I'm teaching you, it's just going to be, yeah, of course. But then, like, how do you jump to the higher level? Is it through meditation? Is it through taking the teachings and making how do you?
But
I don't know.
what the
It
Rebbe is
seems like
saying is taking what I'm teaching. Yeah, you don't need any more information than you all have. Taking it and thinking about it, and then thinking about it, and then thinking about it, and then thinking about it. So the Rebbe, I don't know necessarily. I would use the term meditate, so that might work for some, but it's a really strong focus. Strongly keep demanding from yourself to come back to the concept, like if you have something in your head that's, well, I guess a simple example, if something's bothering you, you have something you're trying to figure out, something needs to be solved, not God forbid you don't make up any horrible situation, but whatever, something has to be figured out, and it's sort of like in the back of your head and it keeps popping up and you keep trying to think about it and maybe this and maybe that, and with it, like some idea that's like gnawing away at your brain, if you know what I mean. It could be a problem that needs to be solved. It could be something you just keep thinking about because it's something very significant and very real and very happening. It could be something very positive and joyous that's coming up. But it's just like an idea that keeps gnawing at your brain. It keeps like coming to the surface and you keep thinking about it, but no, now's not the time. But then it comes again. No, now's the time. It comes again. It keeps coming at you. Could be positive, it could not be. That's not the point, really. It's just an idea that is fixating on you. So the Rebbe is saying that's what you have to do here. You have to take either or both of these loves, these thoughts, and keep fixating on them, keep thinking about them. So in a sense, again, it doesn't seem like climbing Mount Everest. It's an idea that we understand. These are relationships that make sense to us. We naturally have this love inside of us. And still, the Rebbe is saying it's going to take a lot of intellectual work to keep thinking about them, very focused, and then you'll feel it. Not just you'll be aware of it in your mind. Being aware of it in your mind would be like, I really should do this. This is the right thing. Maybe like some of us on Shavuos had the sense of, at Shavuos, I really should be learning Torah now. That's like an intellectual compulsion. It wasn't like, oh, Hashem, I want to give you a hug. Give me a book I want to learn. That's like in the emotions. It wasn't like that. But it was more your mind was guiding you in the direction your heart is sensing. It's Shavuos. I'm a Jew. You just gave me the Torah. I want to / should give you the hug and learn Torah now. So the Rebbe is saying, if we don't have a lot of focus with our mind, that would be sort of the relationship we would have with these natural loves. I know you're my parent. I know I will do anything for my parents, so I should do anything for you, and maybe I will, from those thoughts in my mind. I know you're my life. I know there's nothing more precious than life. If this is what you want, you're my life. How could I not do everything you want? But then we want to transfer that, so you're not telling yourself it. You feel it. That's the point. Now, from a saying, of course, is correct. The road to all of this is the more we study and think and chew over and talk and for brain and study and think and talk Hasidus. That's what more and more aligns us with this God reality. And when we're in that God space, yes, these thoughts and feelings are very natural. But very specifically here, the Rebbe is saying, really focusing on these thoughts. Focus on them. They will become yours. You won't just know them. You won't just feel you should do this. It's natural. It's your feelings. It's your flaming emotions for God. So I was just asking if anyone, for either of these loves, if they could think like, that doesn't seem so difficult. Yes, I do feel I could do that. Or if you're feeling like, no, that sounds like it'd be a lot of hard work to actually get that to my emotions.
It really depends on the day. I mean, some days I can feel closer and I can feel more love. And some days my mind is just like everywhere, so I cannot focus as well. You know what I mean? And of course, like on spiritual days, Yamim Tovim and Shabbat, you can really, really feel it. You don't even have to work on it. But during the week, it's on and off. Even when I read Tehillim, sometimes I read it with such kavana, and sometimes I just read it because I have to read it. Does it make sense?
I agree with you 1,000,000%. I think that's so true, and I would exactly echo everything Rachel said if I thought of it, 100%. And which I think maybe we can relate to in these loves, that sometimes it's so natural. The Rebbe was saying it's a lot of work. So it doesn't seem a lot of work at all. It seems like our natural state, which might have a lot to do with the refinement of the air that day, what's going on spiritually that day, or what's going on in our life that day. And God seems so real, and the world seems a little more distant. And then these things are so natural. And then some days it's the opposite. And the world is crushingly real, overwhelmingly real. And we go through the motions serving God. But as long as we keep going through the motions, that's good. Because there'll come a time, hopefully soon, maybe the next day, when the world will get a little more distant and God will get more real. That, I believe, is the whole movement of Hasidic thought. Makes God more real and the world less. And the more real God is, the less real the world is. And then these emotions are very, very, very natural. I think that's probably very, very, very good answer, very true answer. So the Rebbe now is going to prove to us this point. Now we accepted it very naturally. We're not skeptics here. But the Rebbe here is saying, again, that because these loves are intellectually saturated to get to the space of really feeling them, they're going to the world of intellect, which the Rebbe is saying is the world of Bria. So the Rebbe brings now 2 points to prove this. Umodazos, mashakasu b'tikunim, so it's known to some people, that which is written in the Tikkunim, which is a section of Zohar, Tikkunei Zohar, ki be'olam haBria, in the world of Bria, mekanena, nests, like the word kan, teman there, ema ila'ah, the supernal mother. So that quote from the section of Zohar called Tikkunim, Tikkunei Zohar, is saying that in the world of Bria nests the supernal mother. Supernal already means it's from the highest dimension, which is the world of Atzilos. Mother is a reference to Bina. Meaning, so again, I'm trying to decode for you the Kabbalah. That was a Kabbalistic quote, and I'm decoding it so you can understand how in the world this is helping us at all here. Supernal means I'm talking the highest world, the world of Atzilus. Mother means I'm talking about Bina of Atzilus. We have the 10 spheros, the 10 godly emanations on every spiritual realm, on every spiritual world. And every spiritual world, we have the father and mother. The father is what we call Chachma, the first flash of expression, the first creative energy, the conception. And then we have Bina, the mother, who develops this flash, develops this creative spark, develops this conception into a full-fledged concept. So very much we have here the dynamics, if you can think of in terms of reproduction, of creating a child, of the father that's giving that seed that then becomes developed in the womb of the mother. We have the father, Chachma, that first flash, which then gets developed through the process of Bina, of all the intellectual processes. So Bina, symbolically called the mother, represents intellect. Again, in the divine intellect and our human mind as a parallel mirror image, we have 3 dimensions. We have the Chachma element, the flash, the spark. We have Bina, the development of that spark. And we have Das, the integration of the concept. But of the 3, where the real intellectual processes are taking place, is in the mother, is in Bina. So Ema Ila'a, the supernal mother, Bina of the world of Atzilus, Mekanina, she's nesting. Like if we think of a bird that comes down to the nest, comes down to reside on a branch somewhere. So from the world of Atzilus, from Bina of Atzilus, one of the highest dimensions of Atzilus, this energy nests. It comes down to rest in the world of Bria. This is to prove to us that Bria is the residence, is where the divine intellect reposes. Because we're saying, since it's in love flavored with intellect, not just flavored with intellect, since it's a love saturated with intellect, the love's going to go to the world of intellect, the product of the love, your actions are going to go to the world of intellect. Well, why are we assuming Bria is the world of intellect? Well, look what it says in the Zohar. The supernal mother nests in Bria. God's intellect, Bina, is in Bria. This is the world of intellect. In other words, this is really based on a concept, a Kabbalistic concept that's used in Hasidic thought, that is called, in the Hebrew, Aramaic, it's called partsufim. A partsuf means a face. And every world of the 4 spiritual worlds has a different divine face, which means which godly element is dominant. What's the face of that world? And the face of the world of Bria is the godly intellect. As we're saying, it's Bina. Just as the face, the partsuf of the world of Yetzirah is God's emotions, because it's the world of emotions. So this was the first proof showing us, yes, Bria is the world of God's intellect, and therefore this love that has so much intellectual involvement is going to go to Bria, and all of your service of God coming from this love will also ascend this high to the world of Bria. Shehi hisbainus b'orein sof b'orein sof chaya chayim baruchu, that this is going to be, all this intellect on our part, is going to be this deep contemplation in the infinity of the light of God, the life of all lives. Ukemaimer Eliyahu, and now we have our second proof to support this concept, that these loves, because we're using our intellect, are going to the world of Bria. So Eliyahu said a very interesting thing. This is, of course, also in the Zohar. Bina liba, the heart is understanding, uva halev mevin, and in her, the heart understands. Bina is the heart, and with it, the heart understands. Now that is very fascinating if you think about what we're saying here, because it's completely counterintuitive. It's not at all what we would think, meaning, I just finished explaining to you that Bina is God's understanding, just as the Bina in our soul is our soul's understanding. I just went through a whole thing of intellect. We have 3 intellectual powers, Chachma, Bina, Das. That's why we're called Chabad Hasidus, because it's the intellect of Hasidus. And Chachma is the first intuitive spark, And Bina is the intellectual development of the spark and the thought processes and the analysis and the synthesis and everything where you chew and digest and extract and make that a complete intellectual concept. And Das is when you integrate it because you're fixating on the thought until it becomes you. So Chachma Bina Das means intellect, intellect, intellect. 3 different dimensions within a complete total intellect. Right? This is the package of intellect. And what does Eliyahu Navi say? The heart. The heart is intellect. Bina liba. Understanding's in the heart. Uvahalev mavin, and the heart's understanding. So what Eliyahu Navi is saying, which of course works very much well here, but it's just a fascinating thought here, is there's a relationship here between our mind and our heart. Meaning, we're talking about love. We're talking about a relationship with God, an emotional relationship. And we're saying if you really, really, really feel the emotion, that proves you really use your mind, and it's ascending to the world of mind, which is the world of Bria. And we're like, that's hard to understand. If this love is flaming in my heart, doesn't that mean it's an emotional love? Doesn't that mean it's in the world of emotions? In the beginning, the love was just in the recesses of my heart and in my mind. No, that's not intellectual emotion. That's emotional. That stays in the world of emotion. And then if I really work with my intellect, I get it in my heart. And I really feel it in my heart. Now you're going to go to the world of intellect. No, when you really feel the emotion, you go to the world of intellect. Like, what? If you really think about what we're saying, what? When I really feel the emotion, that means I really use my mind, and that means there's a really intellectual love. What do you mean? It means it's really emotional now. It says, Bina liba. Understand the possibility of the relationship between your mind and your heart. The understanding of the mind illuminates the heart, elevates the heart. Uvahalev maven. The heart understands, not the heart feels, the heart senses. The heart understands. That's the word bina. So we're taking the faculty of heart, of feeling, and we're elevating it to the level of mind, of understanding. That's such a fascinating concept that I think has so much, implications here in terms of the mind-heart relationship. Because basically, as I look at it, and I'm curious what other people would think about this, but I'm thinking it's sort of like, it's not like, we're slaves to our emotions. We're slaves to our hearts. The emotions are raging and no. Halev maven. The heart, the emotion could really be in sync with the mind, could really be the best facilitator of the mind, that the understanding of the mind and the emotion of the heart are together united. Imagine that power. You're not battling the heart. The heart is your support. The vision of the mind and the feelings of the heart are in sync. That's what the Rebbe is saying here. I don't know. What do you understand from this about the mind-heart relationship? Anyone have any other thoughts on this?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What the Rebbe is saying here, the Rebbe is bringing this to support the concept that when you really are using your mind, you will feel it in your heart. And that's why this love, when it finally reaches your heart, ascends to the world of intellect, the world of Bria. He brings us proof from Eliyahu Navi, quoted in the Zohar, that the heart understands. Bina liba. Bina, understanding is in the heart. Uvahalev mavin, the heart understands. So I just thought it was very interesting what the Rebbe is saying here about the mind-heart relationship. And I was curious if anyone else had any thoughts on that. How we understand this proof, which is very critical to understanding the point that I was developing here, that there's a relationship between our mind and our heart.
So it makes so much sense, because when the mind understands something, then the heart almost explodes. Does it make sense? I mean, I learned few concepts, this last week about the truth of Ruchaniut and Gashmiut. And then every time I came across another shiur about it, either in Tanya or Yomi or something, it's like, wow, this is really, it's like I heard it from you first about 2 weeks ago. And then every time I run into it, I'm thinking, wow, so this is taking me even higher to a higher understanding. So so definitely, I mean, when the mind understands something so deep, then
The
it
heart feels
involves the heart. The heart feel it, absolutely. I felt it this whole last week. So
it's beautiful. That's beautiful. Anyone else? Any other thoughts? I had shared with Rachel a concept I saw in a mimer, and she sent me a message today that she's been thinking about it for 2 weeks, and I was so inspired. I'm like, I want to relook at it myself, because I knew it was very inspiring and it really moved me. And that's why I shared it with her. And it really was a very powerful concept in a mimer on Bamidbar, where the Rebbe is saying how everything that's going to happen by Mashiach, we're sort of have to do something that is similar to that now, because what we're doing now creates the reality of Mashiach. And it says we see this with Tchiat HaMeitim, with Tchias HaMesim, with the resurrection of the dead, because in our world we have death and we have life. The physical, the Rebbe said, is dead, and the spirit is its life. And every time we make a choice and we choose the spirit over the physical, in every physical object we extract and express its true spiritual nature, its spiritual dominancy, its spiritual reality. We just did Tchias HaMesim. We put spirit, we put life over physical, over death. And as we do Tchias HaMesim, as we do the revival of the dead, that enables God to do it as well by Mashiach. And yes, so we have a concept like that, and it's so exciting, and it's so wow. You're right. It's in your mind, and your heart is feeling it. So that makes a lot of sense. Anyone else? Anyone else has something how they interpret or understand this mind-heart relationship?
I think I really like the example that you gave, Rachel gave, that what's real, God or world, like that. Just having that concept, the more you understand that God is real and that's the only true reality, the less the world. I mean, yeah, deeper your connection will be.
Absolutely. The rest of the world runs interference. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what Rachel is saying is when she gets it, her heart's full of it. Her heart's excited with it. She sees the emotional feeling coming from that intellect, which is very nice, and which is in essence, yes, very much in sync with what Eliyahu Navi is saying here, as he's quoted in the Zohar.